The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a Primal Lifestyle. With your hosts, Nico and Ellen Haan. Now, Nico and Ellen Haan.
Good morning, I'm Nico Haan, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced and natural wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. Good morning, I'm Ellen Haan.
It's a beautiful morning in downtown St. Petersburg, 73 degrees and kind of muggy, overcast. Summer is on its way, folks. And I'd like to remind you, first of all, please to pick up our Primal Edge, our one-shot wonder. It's over 310 organic, cell-ready liquid ingredients, all powered by fulvic and humic acid. And during the time of COVID, this is an important time to take all your vitamins and make sure you have everything you need to fight this. And of course, I'd like to remind you, whoops, there's Paige right there. She's coming on the show later, so hi, Paige. And our Health Signals newsletter. This follows the show, so on the 1st and the 15th, you get all the articles that we've been talking about during our show. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Wanted to start today with this article. Let me bring it up here. It is, whoops, there she is again. Somewhere in here. There it is. The 206 origins of the lockdown idea. And, of course, we've been locked down since maybe
March 15th, roughly.
Something like that, yeah. And I guess we're kind of semi-out now. It's our own variation of coming out, I guess. And we've been out a couple of restaurants, and it's nice to get back out again. But you know, as we're listening to different people talk about this COVID-19 and the lockdown, it just seems like this was never really a good idea. And I think we're starting to realize that people are kind of anxious to get out, that's for sure, because you see them crowded at the beaches. But just the whole talk about, you know, why we were locked up, because according to this article here, and it states, you know, that we didn't locked down almost the entire country in 1968, in 1969, and this is when we had the bird flu.
Right.
This is when all those concerts going on with thousands of people all huddled together. Didn't seem to make much difference. Also in 1957, we had a flu, and 1949 to 52, they had a type of bird flu also, or maybe it was a swine flu. I'm, you know, keep getting confused about this whole thing, but. Where did this begin? And we're starting to see that this actually was a brainchild of somebody back in 2006 that was working at the White House at that time, and I guess George Bush was in. I don't think it really matters who was in there, because this is, you know, we're being influenced by people who seem to supposedly know what they're doing. And so let's talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, the interesting for me, the paragraph that says, how did a temporary plan to preserve hospital capacity turn into a 2 to 3 months of near universal house arrest that ended up causing worker furloughs at 256 hospitals, a stoppage of international travel, a 40% job loss among people who earn less than $40,000 a year, devastation of every economic sector, mass confusion, demoralization, complete ignoring of all fundamental rights and liberties, not to mention the mass confiscation of private property with forced closures of millions of businesses. I don't think anybody thought this through very well, because that certainly did happen.
Yeah. And, you know, economically, if you're in that class of people who are working week to week just to make the rent and things like that, this is devastation right there.
Yeah.
And this puts you into a whole different fear factor. We were scared and stressed just from our normal routine, and we pretty much thought we were going to be okay. We're pretty healthy. Financially, we're okay. We're still working. That helps a little bit. We still have our little routines. People who are locked in themselves, I can't really imagine that, because we haven't been ourselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, we observed the quarantine, but it didn't feel quite so oppressive for us as it did for a lot of people. And think about the rest of the world. I mean, this is not a U.S. phenomenon. Right. This is if you're talking about the third world countries and depressed areas and millions of people who barely live at the poverty level and are dealing with all of the ramifications of not being able to get food or not having a job or whatever. So it's...
And I think too, the main lockdown, of course, has been in these big cities like New York and like Los Angeles. And now they're talking about maybe bringing kids back to school, maybe not back to school. There's a real discussion going on of whether we bring people back or not. But
I'd sure like to know. I'd like to know that people are thinking this through. That people are looking realistically at the details and at the statistics that are coming out now,
and not just the statistic of the COVID-19, but the statistics of what happens when people are locked up, what happens when you're under quarantine, what is that like? And my opinion has always been that it starts from the bottom, not from the top. I think the decision to go out or not go out should be my decision. Because I'm a pretty smart guy. I think I've survived so far, 75 years old. And I'm thinking that I could make that decision, and certainly if I was fearing for my life, I'd stay put. And I'd encourage my family members. And this makes me think that the family is the first line of defense, as even if you're living in a group of people of 30, maybe to 150 people like we used to do in ancient times when we weren't in these cities, we would be talking to our family and talking to our neighbors and saying, okay, what's the best bet? What have you heard? And what should we do? And then the medicine man and the old wisdom people, maybe us, would be saying, well, we've gone through this before. We see how these things work, and this is how we do it. The people who are sick, we're going to quarantine them. We're going to put them in a separate tent or whatever, and we're not going to go near them until this passes.
Well, and then the question becomes, how did we get so scared? It's a matter. If you're trying to evaluate the situation and determine what's going to be right for you and your family, the problem is that we were dealing with the media that was flooding our beings with, don't go out, oh my God, you're in big trouble.
And plus those numbers.
And the numbers that were turned out not to be correct.
No, but if you get flash numbers of people dying every single day, that sits right in your brain. And you think,
even though you don't realize that what we're talking about is less than 0.01%. And during a regular flu epidemic, we talked about this a few weeks ago, there were, in 2018, 2019 flu season, there were 88,000 deaths. And so it's not unheard of. No. And this happens pretty much every year when the flu comes around, people die.
And this is kind of, a lot of people talk that this might be the culling of the herd. Every so often, Mother Nature takes a whack at us. And I have personal opinions about, why this happens. And we'll go over some of that. So, and also we have Paige Clark coming in the third section and talking about some natural things that you can do. So that's going to be really important. So at this time, I recommend everybody, of course, to pick up the Primal Edge. We have over 310 organic cell-ready ingredients. This is a time that you really need this nutrition. And you also need the fulvic and humic acid, which means that you're going to cleanse your body as well as signal to your body to take these things in. And of course, please pick up our shot one day. There's Paige again. She's coming. Health Signals newsletter. Pick that up, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com. Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
We're talking about the origins of the concept of locking down during a pandemic. And this is a very interesting article, Disease Mitigation Measures and the Control of the Pandemic Influenza, which was published by a very influential doctor who was involved in eradicating smallpox, and 3 professors from Johns Hopkins, an infectious disease specialist, an epidemiologist, and a physician. And basically what they came down to was absolutely not the right way to go. And they said there are no historical observations or scientific studies that support the confinement by quarantine of groups. And
especially groups of infected people.
Well, yes, quarantine of possibly infected people that would be expected to slow the spread. And it just says it doesn't, there's no place in the last half century where large-scale quarantine was effectively used in control of any disease. And the mitigation measures should be eliminated from serious consideration.
Yeah, home quarantine also raises ethical questions. Implementation of home quarantine could result in healthy, uninfected people being placed at risk of infections from sick household members. So practices to reduce the chance of transmission, like hand washing and maintaining a distance of 3 feet from infected people.
It's 3 feet, not 6 feet.
Exactly. Could be recommended, but a policy imposing home quarantine would preclude, for example, sending healthy people to stay with relatives when a family member comes ill. You know, these are kind of the policies that we grew up with. Yeah. We quarantine the sick, not the healthy. And,
right.
Just the traumatic effect on it, especially children, because they haven't been through these things before. But it's amazing, children do adapt, and they adapt from their parents, so whatever their parents are doing, they're going to be doing, that's for sure. But that's for the safety of the herd, or the
group, the tribe.
Yeah, the tribe.
Yes, and the policy is, that particular policy was hard and dangerous to people living in close quarters. It said that the risk of infection would then be heightened.
Right.
So then travel restrictions, closing airports, screening travelers have historically been ineffective, and the societal costs involved in interrupting air and train travel is extreme.
Yeah, what you would do if, let's take a city of New York, maybe you could quarantine New York or parts of New York, and people going in there, you certainly quarantine if people are sick in a hospital, you quarantine them. But last week we talked about maybe they shouldn't be going to the hospital. They should be going to a special field tent or something like that where the infected people go, like they used to do with leprosy. You have a leprosy colony type of thing. Yeah, it seems kind of cruel to put them all there, but it's highly infectious. You don't want them touching other people. It just makes sense.
Well, and the point that the article made at the time it was written also was that this is modern times. People travel. I mean, there was so much traveling going on before anybody even realized there was a pandemic developing.
Right.
That's how it spread across the whole world. People go everywhere. They go to the most unlikely places.
Yeah, and the way these flus naturally work, they go through a population pretty fast, maybe 3 to 6 months, and it's kind of over with, and maybe there's a resurgence. They usually stick around a couple of years, but they die out fast, and the whole idea of herd immunity is that it passes through us and we get these antibodies and we pass these antibodies out to other people too, just like the virus would be given to other people. And this is the way it's always been. And a certain amount of people die. It's usually the sick and the old and the unlucky, I would say too.
With other problems.
Yeah, and we don't know whether locking people down would save lives or actually add to it from other things.
And this article went on to talk about closing schools for 1 to 2 weeks early in the development of the outbreaks is unreasonable. It seems reasonable, but closing schools for more than a week or two carries a possibility of serious adverse outcome, which of course we will see, and then postponing and canceling large meetings and so on. The problems that it concluded that experience has shown that communities faced with epidemics or other adverse events respond best and with the least anxiety when normal social functioning of the community is least disrupted.
Yeah, strong political and public health leadership to provide the reassurance and to ensure that the medical care services are provided are critical elements. And if either of these seem to be less than optimal, a manageable epidemic could move forward through the catastrophe. So they're saying...
Toward a catastrophe.
Towards a catastrophe, yeah. So they're saying that these things make it worse. And I think so it does too, because if you're tapping it down, like trying to stretch this whole thing out, and they're saying at this rate, it's a 2 or 3 year process, where the normal process is about 3 months to 6 months. So... in that 2 year period, are more people going to die? We really don't know.
Well, sure they are, because that's what happens in life. People die.
Well, that's true.
But the point, I think another point is that, yes, there's ways to manage illness and infection and that sort of thing. And we've used it in the past. Every year people get the flu, nobody goes in their house and locks the door. But in this case, what happened now, I think it'll be many, many years before we know what the actual repercussions are of what was done with this lockdown. The anxiety, we've talked about that for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Well, it's the anxiety because we have these news organizations that are just giving us numbers and saying it's higher, and you know, this political guy did this person did this doctor says this one's wearing a mask, this is not wearing a mask. I generally don't wear a mask, and basically for me, all the germs are going to be on the outside of the mask. That means I have to put gloves on, I have to be careful taking it off. I think my body is good enough to take care of this stuff. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the flu in many years.
Yeah, a decade or so for sure. But it just the masking doesn't feel right. You know, and the whole thing we've been talking about, and we say we don't know really what's going on, but who would shut down the worldwide economy? What is about that? Is this just an accident because these people ran across these things and said, hey, this is a good idea? And the whole world pretty much went along with this except for a few states and a few different countries. And the few states that didn't and the few countries that didn't don't seem to be any worse off. But life is kind of going on as normal and they're being careful.
Yeah, and it's, I really think that this is the same thing happens all the time. People get ideas, they do something for a particular purpose, and then the law of unintended consequences kicks in. Nobody thought past step 3, and they didn't see the implications or the impact it would have
Yeah.
to do this. And
So I think it becomes really, really important to learn now to start taking care of yourself and your kids and your husbands and your friends and pass information on. And one of the things that we always do on this show is come up with things that we've always done. Products that we've always used, things that we probably have around the house and don't even use anymore because nobody's passed on this information to us. You know, in the old days, it was grandma that used to go to the stove and say, here, you're not feeling well, let's do this.
Put the honey in it.
Yeah, whatever. So all these little things that having older people in, and we're the older people now, sad to say in a way, and we need to pass on this stuff too. Our children or our grandchildren. And because our modern society has segregated us, this information is not passed down. So now we have to rely on these so-called experts. So when we get back, Paige Clark is coming on, and I'm sure she's got some good things for us. So we'll be right back, folks. Stick around.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today. If you're not currently using the TAS Profile Scanner when looking at setting up your trading opportunities, then your arsenal is short a mighty weapon. The TAS Profile Scanner is a standalone piece of software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Headed by Steve Dahl, TAS understands that in today's technological world, the use of top-flight software applications and technical analysis expertise is essential to successful trading in today's market. You also gain access to the webinar that Steve Dahl and Tom O'Brien just hosted, The Best Way to Use the TAS Profile Scanner to Profit. This webinar archive is available for all subscribers immediately upon signing up. All new subscriptions also come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Start your subscription by visiting the front page of TFNN.com today, and you'll find the TAS Profile Scanner under the Services tab. Sign up today. Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show. So times like this makes me think of, how do I make myself stronger? How do I boost my immune system? And how can I do it naturally? Because that's what this show is all about, is figuring out what our ancestors used to do. So Paige is on the line, and she's got some interesting facts on this. Hey, Paige, how you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Ellen and Nico. I'm enjoying the show. In fact, you know, like we said, I think a couple weeks ago, you know, we got to make sure the cure is not worse than the disease.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now is, I was actually at a Memorial Day party yesterday, and I was sharing some of those statistics, Ellen, that you brought up that were so out of sorts, and the people couldn't believe the statistic. I said, hey, the death rate in California was 0.00006925.
Yeah.
And they looked at me like, and they went and Googled it, and they go, it is. And they,
If Google says it must be right.
Divided it and just said, you're right. And when you look at it in that scheme, nature has her wisdom. She cleans her branches. She cleans the earth. And we do that with the flu and other things, and this is another thing, but the difference is we've got political aspirations that are in the middle and utilizing something that happens. But we're the wise ones now, Nico, as you said right before the break. We're the ones that are supposed to help. You know, we used to remember what Grandma said, and now we realize we are the grandmas and grandpas.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a shocker for sure. Yeah, and this article that you sent me, The Amazing Benefits of Cream of Tartar, of course, we could talk about 1,000 different types of ingredients that have this same type of thing that we know nothing about. And why don't we know anything about it? I think it's because the media doesn't talk about this kind of thing.
Well, and I think that the establishment medical profession it tends to quash any conversation about non-pharmaceutical results, and they always put disclaimers in the articles that say this hasn't been shown scientifically.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, exactly. They really discount anecdotal, and yet I am actually intrigued with anecdotal evidence as opposed, because the previous chief editor of the New England Journal of Medicine said before she retired, her name is Marcia, and I'm drawing a blank on her last name, Marcia, something she said, we know based on the funding that what we published for the last 20 years in the New England Journal of Medicine is not only untrustworthy but dangerous because it's been bought and paid for. But we digress, and let's talk a little bit. Being home all this time made me think about the things in our cupboard, right, Ellen? I mean, like you mentioned, the honey and the things that we just had around the house. Maybe we don't need to be depending on Chinese manufacturers for our healing medicines. Maybe we need to turn back to what was in our cupboard. Yeah. And I'll tell you about my new little health cocktail I drink. You've probably heard about it, but I really do enjoy it, and I spike it with the Primal Edge. But the cream of tartar, I was doing a little baking, and I started using a couple shakes of cream of tartar in my coffee frother to make my cream sit on top of my coffee. I'm like, hey, it works for meringue, so why not make that little frothy thing so I feel like I'm getting a really fancy cup of coffee? And I had remembered hearing that it's been used, especially for a lot of people when they're going into the keto diet. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, because of muscle cramps and so forth, a lot of people, potassium is one of our huge electrolytes. We've got magnesium, sodium, and potassium. And one of the things we do know is we tend to get maybe perhaps too much of bad sodium. I'm a big fan of salt because of the trace mineral content, but we maybe just get them out of balance. And I learned from my mentor, Dr. Marshall, that one of the great ways he would say to catch up on your potassium is take a couple spoonfuls of tomato paste, before you go to bed. And I thought, when I found out that cream of tartar has like 400 milligrams in a teaspoon. And now I want to preface this, that electrolytes, you can get out of balance if you get too much of anything, but most of us do not get enough potassium. In fact, Nico, you and I, 8 years ago, did a lecture at Nature's Food Patch, and that was the premise of my comments, was that our ancestors got potassium because they actually did forage for wild food. Now we don't have all those nutrients, right? We don't have them in the soil.
Right.
But let's, go through this. I think that cream of tartar is one of those very inexpensive things. I know, Nico, you sometimes bake very healthily. I love your little special treats, but how long would it take you to use a bottle of cream of tartar? Forever, right?
Yeah, it seems like it because I never really thought about it. But I think
use it in when I make chocolate mousse to do the meringue.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's very inexpensive. It's going to last forever, so it's one of those healing objects in your cupboard. But a lot of people use it to cure migraine headaches. It's high in the potassium, and it's important for the body. Helps the regulation and hydration. And there's a lot of people that are using it specifically for migraines along with B vitamins.
Yeah, it's an amazing product. You know, on here it says cream of tartar also has some household uses, can be mixed with white vinegar or lemon juice to form kind of a powderful paste. And people used to use it with various types of metals because the combination of hydrogen peroxide is used to remove the rust from the tools.
The tartaric acid, which is the byproduct from winemaking, is a strong acid. One of the reasons a lot of people will take it to prevent urinary tract infections.
Right.
You know, everyone talks about being alkaline, but the truth is if you're too alkaline, particularly in the urinary tract, you're going to get infections.
Yeah.
And we need those healthy acidic balances. So I think that was pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, well,
they talk about arthritis, too. They say putting it, I know I've used an Epsom salt in hot water to just every now and again before we went on the keto diet and stopped having pains, but they recommend putting the cream of tartar in with the Epsom salts for a pain-relieving salt bath.
It's also used for quitting smoking.
That was interesting.
Yeah, you mix it with orange juice, and it makes the taste of cigarettes very unpleasant. So, I mean, there's all kinds of remedies, and that's what we find in all these ancient remedies that Grandma always had in the cupboard. They have uses beyond their the baking use, I would say.
Yeah. Paige, what other things would you recommend out of the cupboard as something people should be thinking about?
Well, I love honey. I love particularly the Manuka honeys for very dangerous infections like staph and MRSA. You know, having a jar, and it's not inexpensive, but just in general, honey is a wonderful healer, a soother to the mucous membranes, has all the B vitamins and natural minerals. So I think honey, and guess what? Honey has a forever shelf life.
Yeah.
I had heard that the Manuka honey was didn't have that shelf life. Did I hear incorrectly?
No, as long as you keep the bottle closed, honey keeps pretty well.
Well, they said they found honey in the Egyptian tombs.
Yeah.
And again, you want to make sure you're buying the real honey. A lot of the honey we buy in the store has been processed and heated, and it's no longer raw, and it's no longer unheated. Once it's heated, the enzymes die. So the sourcing those raw and unheated is critical.
Yeah. Hey, Paige, thanks a lot for bringing this in. We're up on a break now. And
good talking to you.
We'll see you next time.
We'll talk to you next time, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks so much. We'll be right back, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. I didn't know who was starting, you or me.
Either way, it works
Exactly.
for me. We had been talking about unintended consequences, and I was looking at the article. The United Nations had warned that economic downturn could kill hundreds of thousands of children in 2020, and that's all around the world. And it starts with just looking at children who depend on getting a meal at the school and now don't have that source of food.
Right.
And then it goes on to the schooling disruption and the fact that even though there was a conversation about providing laptops to students who didn't have them, they ran out of laptops and they haven't been replaced. So,
And I'm just thinking back when I was a kid, you don't know what's going on. I mean, even though your parents maybe, well, it's an epidemic, there's a virus, you really don't know what's going on because you had never experienced anything like this. You kind of go along whatever your parents are doing, and, you know, they're going to educate you, and you're going to either go along with it, or if you're rebellious like me, maybe you don't, you know. But this is the way it's always worked. It's handed down to people, and there's a lot of, when children have fear, and that's the basic thing that I want to instill here is this. Children get scared of things, and they need to be cuddled. They need to be told that they're loved and that they're part of the community and they're number one in our eyes always. My dad always told me that I was a special person, and that I needed to be, that special person for him. And so I lived up to that. I wanted to be that special person for him. So it's important that we teach our children the right things.
but children also learn from what we don't say.
That's right.
And from how we act.
Well, they look at what we do more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And also, of course, they're listening to the background. Maybe the news is on, and they're also listening to that. So they're confused. They don't know what to do. They look to us naturally for the answers.
Yeah. And just getting back for a minute to the economic impact of this, it says here that an estimated 42 million to 66 million children will now fall into extreme poverty because of the coronavirus crisis, and that there already were 386 million children in extreme poverty in 2019. So this hasn't helped matters any. People out of work, people without food, people without school, without a place to go.
Yeah, I mean, this school closures have been worldwide pretty much.
That's right.
And no matter what society. And
Two-thirds, more than two-thirds of the countries have introduced a national distance learning platform. But among low-income countries, there's only 30% participation in that.
Wow. Yeah.
It's going to have a huge impact. And then...
Well, the other side, too, is, this is just talking about children, but now we think of the other side of it, the people who are in nursing homes and things like that. There's got to be a fear factor there. Now, I know a couple of people in nursing homes, friends of mine, that have their spouse or their father in nursing homes. And what they've been telling me is the ones that locked the doors and didn't let new people in and really took this to heart, they're okay. The ones where it spread is they let vendors in and they really didn't pay much attention. So, it's important. Remember, in the old days, the old folks lived with us. So they were exposed to whatever we were exposed to, and perhaps we would tell them, maybe you should live over in the other tent there while the children are sick, or maybe we isolate the children.
Or the grandparents took care of the children,
But now it's an economic thing, and certain people, if you're working and all of a sudden the work is gone and now you have to feed your children and you're relying, maybe you're one of those people that relies on that extra food to be handed to you or your child at a school.
Oh, yeah.
And now you don't have that. This builds up the stress, and when the parents are stressed, it passes down to the children being stressed.
Yeah.
And they don't know why. Maybe the parents don't even know why. I don't know.
That's part of the problem, is that it's just subliminal and you don't understand it, but it becomes part of who you are. Then I was reading this article about the millions of baby boomers that are caught in the broken retirement system, and so we have all these people who put away their money because they were told, you got to put away your retirement and be ready to retire. They retire, and now the stock market had a crash there for a while, and it impacted severely on. And I remember back in 2005 through 2011, when we had the last major real estate crash, that I remember a client saying, I went to a meeting and I said, hi, how are you? And he said, well, I lost half my net worth yesterday in the market. And I mean, that's substantial. And yes, it may be on paper, but ultimately it will impact on your ability to live 10 years from now.
Yep.
It's very interesting because an awful lot of people don't have savings anyway.
Well, it's not just the savings. Just think about, you're out of work and now all of a sudden, where's the health care?
Right.
So and I always thought tying health care to the employer, it sounds good from if you're working for an employer, you say, I get free health care or I pay a lot less. But the downside is, as soon as that work is terminated, where is that? Now you got to go into a COBRA, which is very expensive. Or if you're on that slim budget, you can't afford that for sure. So it becomes a real problem. So not only are the kids nervous and fearful, but the old people are, and if you're out of a job, you are. This all gets passed down. And I'm just wondering, the next epidemic next year or the year after or 10 years from now, are they going to be thinking about doing the same thing? I mean, they're already talking about locking it down again if there's another surge.
Yeah, I don't think that people will stand for it. I think there's been enough people protesting and going out and saying, what are you going to do, shoot me? I'm going out and I'm going to the beach and you can't legislate intelligence, which if we could, that would be terrific.
Yeah. So I think that it's up to us to determine what's good for us health-wise. It's always been that way, and that's the way it remains. And it doesn't feel good when there's a national or even a state-imposed something that says this is good for you. It has to be a community. It has to be the smallest community possible, which I think is the family. That's where you start. But maybe you start in a larger community like your church, or maybe in your community center, or maybe the city that you live in, your neighborhood, that type of thing. This is where the decisions ultimately get made anyway, in a sense. And having a president or a prime minister or somebody in the church or the Pope saying do this and do that because it's good for you is not what we want. We want information about how these things spread, information what is good for us, the cream of tartar. I don't see anybody on the news mentioning all these little home remedies that have always worked that most people don't even know about anymore. So I think it's really up to us to educate it, and we have this wonderful thing called the internet, and as long as this is up, we can at least do our own education. And there's a lot of crap there, but there's a lot of good stuff there too, and you just have to watch through it. And I think we're smart enough that we can do that, to come up with these things ourselves and not let the government impose these things on us. So stick around, folks. We got a little bit more, and we'll be right back.
I'm certain you are or strive to be one of the best at everything you do in life. It's the most common trait that we tigers and tigresses share. If you're looking to become the best of the best when it comes to managing your money, let me teach you to do what most wealth managers tell you can't be done, which is how to time the markets. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability, and for the last 12 months, Timer Digest has been tracking my newsletter signals, which have earned me the ranking as their #1 market timer in the nation for the S&P 500 for the last 12, 6, and 3 months. Timer Digest also ranks me as the #1 market timer for gold as well. The fact is, markets can be timed, and I'll teach you the exact set of tools that I use that has transformed me into one of the best at what I do. Sign up for Mastering Probability today by clicking on the newsletter tab on the homepage of TFNN.com and get immediate access to workshops where I take you step by step how to use an extraordinary set of tools, as well as provide great market calls too. Sign up today.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates to my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get them, folks.
TFNN has developed a daily programming lineup for traders by traders. We start every trading day live at 8:30 a.m. with Tommy O'Brien hosting the morning market kickoff as he starts the day off by breaking down everything you need to know about what's going on for the trading day ahead. At 9 a.m., Larry Pesavento takes your calls and questions live on the air for the opening bell as he hosts Trade What You See. At 10 a.m., Tom and Tommy O'Brien host the Bull Bear Trading Hour. At 11 a.m., it's Kevin Hinks and Alex Coffey from TD Ameritrade Network with Fast Market. Basil Chapman at noon with the Tiger Technicians Hour. Steve Rhodes hosts the Trader's Edge at 1 p.m. Dave White with the Power Trading Hour at 2 p.m. And Tom O'Brien closes out the day for the final hour of trading live from 3 till 4. Don't miss a second of our daily programming lineup. Tune in to Tiger TV every trading day live at TFNN.com. Educating investors.
And welcome back. We're reading from a study of the infectability of the SARS-CoV-2 carriers. And this is reported by Respiratory Medicine, and it actually comes from China. So, go ahead.
Okay. They did a study with 455 contacts with someone who was known to be an asymptomatic carrier. And so they were divided into 3 groups, 35 patients, 196 family members, and 224 hospital staffs. And then the results were interesting because the median contact time for patients was 4 days, family members 5 days, and then the hospital staff, and 0 people got the virus.
Yeah. And it's interesting, family members was 5 days, so it was longer when the family was
living together in close quarters, yeah.
So that means the herd immunity is kind of helping with that, I think. You know, whatever the immune system is, people all have that same immune system in that family.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's sometimes that works in your business environment too.
Yeah.
You know, if you change jobs, that happened to me. I was with one company for a long time, then I changed jobs. I went to another company, and that first winter, I was coming down with everything that went through the office.
Yeah, different group of people.
And I didn't have immunity to what they had in that population. So.
Well, that's how we sync. In fact, the women periods sync up after a while when you're all together. So nature works in mysterious but wonderful ways, that's for sure. But the conclusion on this is that basically the infections are very weak, and the carriers that are spreading this is very weak also. So it's not
so highly contagious
as we think it is. It may spread quickly. And I saw an article the other day, too, that mentioned that the new survey on shiny objects and it being on surfaces, different kinds of surfaces, they thought it would stay there for days, but now they're saying, well, it doesn't really stay there even hours. So it really depends on the environment and what else is there, I think. So we really don't know a lot about it, but we're learning more and more. One thing we learned, we don't like being shut in.
No, but be safe, everyone.
Yeah. Follow
See you
the
next
rules.
week.
See ya.